Good afternoon, and welcome to Yorkshire Voice on Thursday, April the 7th. I'm Ash Yakub. On today's show, an Ilkley-based cyclist is planning a cross-continent cross-cycle to raise funds for MS. The new and unique sculpture gallery that's launching in Leeds tonight. And more good news for Leeds United. Out of 16 Premier League clubs that have published their accounts, it's the only one of two to make a profit this season.
Well, I think we have to remember that Leeds United have been promoted from the Championship, and most clubs in their first season also make a profit.
But first, our top story this afternoon, and some families say they may not be able to get together this Easter after TransPennine train conductors announced a strike. The company runs the busy train lines between Leeds and Manchester. Will Cole reports.
I'm here outside Leeds City train station, where rail users have heard and been told not to travel over the Easter holidays. That's because of planned rail strikes. Now, we've been talking to some rail users to get their thoughts on the strikes.
It's really difficult. How are you going to see your family? How are you going to get down south? How are you going to get up north? I don't think that's very fair. I understand why people strike, because people have real grievances about the way they're paid and about the services and conditions. But it's difficult for ordinary people wanting to get to see their friends and families.
They've got to realise that a lot of people of my age, when there's a strike on, you can't keep getting on and off buses, so it means that sometimes you can't go and see your relatives when you want to do, because that's when they have a holiday.
The strikes are set to begin on Saturday the 16th of April and will take place every Sunday until the 5th of June. They're being staged due to conductors receiving less pay than other workers and not being paid overtime for extra hours and Sunday work.
They need to take into account the context in which the railway is operating now. We're simply not in the same financial position that we were 2 years ago before the pandemic. And so if you've paid for a ticket and you aren't able to travel, then you can apply for a refund and you can get that refund, and there will be no admin fee for that if your train isn't running.
Rail users will be hoping for a return to normality very soon.
Now today is World Health Day. To mark this event, Yorkshire Air Ambulance were in Central Square in Leeds today, aiming to raise awareness and funds for the charity. It costs over £4 million a year to run the air ambulance service across the region. As there are 5 million people living in Yorkshire, the charity is calling for everyone to donate £1 so that the service can continue to operate. The stall included a helicopter simulation, giving people the opportunity to experience one aspect of the difficult job.
I think it's a fantastic thing across, all different sorts of charity bases and organisations. For ourselves, it's about raising awareness. Obviously we work with the NHS as well, and we support the 999 emergency calls, so people see us obviously being bright yellow in the sky, so we get the waves and things. But coming to the stalls and bringing our promotional vehicle out, we've got the mock cockpit inside, so it's great for children to see, promotional videos inside from the crew with interviews, and obviously we're here with a stall as well to hopefully raise donations as well for us.
In just over 2 weeks' time, Yorkshireman Anthony Butcher will begin a 4,000-mile solo bike ride across America to raise money to fund multiple sclerosis research. MS is a condition that affects around 1 in 500 people in the UK. Our reporter, Grace McGrory, donned her lycra and went to meet him.
On the 23rd of April, Anthony Butcher will be buckling down for the challenge of a lifetime. Leaving behind his home in Yorkshire, the journey will see him cycling across America, from New York to San Francisco. His own struggles with his mental health inspired him to take on such a challenge, in addition to fundraising for a cause close to his heart.
I'm raising money for the MS Society because my mum was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis when I was 15 years old. She's probably had it much longer than that, and I've seen the devastating impact that's had on her over the last 10, 20 years. She now lives in a nursing home and unfortunately has lost a lot of her independence because of this debilitating disease.
With recent studies revealing that MS is likely to be caused by infection with the Epstein-Barr virus, Anthony believes that fundraising is more important than ever.
I'm hoping the money will go towards supporting people who are living with MS at the moment, but also supporting the vital research that's going on so that other people don't have to go through the pain that my mum and I have had to go through as this condition has progressed over the last few years. There's still loads of planning to do with 2 weeks to go, but I'm definitely excited to get there. And I think a lot of my mind at the moment is there's so much to do, but there's going to come a point where I'm on the bicycle and all I've got to do is spin my legs for 3 months. I'm looking forward to that moment.
Having already fundraised £15,000, Anthony hopes that this total will keep on climbing. Grace McGrory, Yorkshire Voice.
And we wish Anthony all the very best on his journey. Now, there are many people in Leeds with a variety of disabilities who find it hard to get across the city, let alone across America. Our reporter Phoebe Morton went to talk at Leeds Central Library, looking at activism that took place in the 90s on this issue.
Shocking about this.
Looking through clippings and pictures catalogues the long history that the Disabled People's Direct Action Network, or DAN, have in Leeds. Particularly in the 90s, when they focused on making transport in Leeds accessible, which is still a problem today.
Like everywhere else, is kind of a work in progress, I would say. I would say there are some parts where, I mean, you're never going to get full accessibility for every group. Like, for instance, it's very steep for, like, wheelchair users, for instance, but you're never going, I mean, you can't completely demolish the roads, but you can find ways to mitigate some of the inaccessibility.
Accessibility has improved since the 90s, when British Rail proposed making a garden for the disabled at the station, despite the trains not being disabled user-friendly.
That time, you know, only a few of the platforms were accessible. It was even more difficult than it is now to get on a train. So this seemed a complete insult to spend money on a garden so that disabled people could sit and watch the trains go by but not necessarily get on them.
The disabled network in Leeds is still strong. Leeds Central Library held an event bringing together activists of the past, activists of the future, and of course their assistance dogs that help people with disabilities get around.
Now this morning, it was announced that Leeds United made a £5.5 million operating profit last season. Our reporter Charlie Bergman is live at Elland Road. Charlie?
Hi Ash. Yeah, so I'm here at Elland Road Stadium, home to Leeds United, where this morning it was announced that Leeds made over a £5 million profit last season. It's been a strange few months for Leeds after much-loved manager Marcelo Bielsa was replaced by Jesse Marsch following a series of Premier League losses. Despite some difficulty on the pitch, it's clear that Leeds have been very successful off the pitch. Out of 16 Premier League clubs that have published their financial accounts to date, only 2 reported a profit: Leeds United and Sheffield United. Kieran Maguire, football finance expert and author of The Price of Football, explained why Leeds United's financial success last season is so unique.
Well, I think we have to remember that Leeds United have been promoted from the Championship, and most clubs in their first season also make a profit. If you take a look at other recent clubs, the likes of Huddersfield, Brighton, and so on, they were successful, as was Sheffield United. The big change tends to be in the second year of the Premier League, because those players who have stepped up from the Championship, who have had pay rises, they're likely to be given new contracts because they've now proven themselves to be Premier League players. You'll have had a second year of investment in the transfer market as well. So those players will come in with expectations of Premier League wages. But what I would say, what I think is unique about Leeds United is Leeds United was a Premier League club which was hibernating in the Championship in many regards. If you take a look at Leeds' commercial income, its merchandise income, to have sold £20 million worth of merchandise is an incredible achievement. And that does, I think, set it apart from many of the other provincial clubs who have been promoted to the Premier League.
Well, I'm sure that new manager Jesse Marsch is hoping that Leeds' off-field success will be replicated on the pitch this Saturday when they play against Watford.
Thanks, Charlie. Charlie Bergman, live at Elland Road. We apologise for any technical difficulties. Now, a Leeds-based children's charity is on a mission to help provide essential supplies to newly arrived refugees, as well as thousands of toddlers in Leeds living in poverty. Since launching their appeal, Leeds Baby Bank has been overwhelmed by donations from across the region. However, it's encouraging people to continue to give. Ella Bicknell reports.
Everyone wants their children to have the best start in life. But essential items like nappies, clothes and blankets aren't always affordable for every parent. Leeds Baby Bank passes on donated items to support the city's most vulnerable families. But with the growing numbers of children in poverty and the influx of Ukrainian refugees, their stocks have been running dangerously low.
We were running desperately low on stock, so we rely on people donating items to us, and we were running short on nearly everything. So we put out an appeal to the general public, and the response was overwhelming. We've had so many things donated. On Monday we had 220 Amazon parcels arrive off our wish list, which was absolutely amazing. So we've had buggies, milk, nappies, all kinds of stuff donated, and we're truly grateful for all of those donations.
Last month, the charity helped 140 families, but when there are 33,000 children living in poverty in Leeds, they are desperate for more donations.
The demand is increasing, it certainly is, and I think February was our busiest month that we've had to date. So yeah, we rely on the support of our amazing volunteers who come here week in, week out to help us, and from the donations of all our amazing supporters, it makes a real difference.
One of those volunteers is Liz, who loves making a difference.
I think it's very important and it's very rewarding to know that you're helping people who are in desperate need. It's awful to think about really, but it gives me a good feeling.
Liz says it would have been life-changing if such a service existed when she was a single mum.
I'd no money really, I had to just put all my money into my daughter, but I've come through it and it was very hard work and but rewarding again at the same time. She's married now, she's nearly 45, but when she was a baby there was nothing like this, but it would have been wonderful to go and get some help like that.
And whilst the charity was only founded recently, it's already making such a difference to babies in need. Ella Bicknell, Yorkshire Voice.
And in light of Leeds City Council announcing today that they will not be providing free school meal vouchers during the Easter holidays, Leeds Baby Bank says it will run a mobile service throughout April. They'll be dropping off bundles of essential items at families in need at several children centres across the city. Staff shortages have caused a crisis for hospitality businesses across the UK. Many companies in Leeds and the surrounding areas have been struggling with staff turnover, and job adverts are failing to attract any interest. Chloe Deacon reports.
The UK's hospitality industry was hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic, and now it faces even further challenges as it experiences staffing shortages at an all-time high. I visited Corner Cup in Bramhope in Leeds and spoke to Gemma Kershaw about how this will affect her cafe.
They're actually moving out of the industry because they're going elsewhere and getting paid so much more for doing your everyday jobs, whereas independents like us can't just, put a price tag on staff. Ultimately, we can afford to pay what we can afford to pay. I'm currently paying over the odds for staff as it is, and for me to have to increase that again, I'd have to really look at the structure and how we operate to make it feasible.
We decided to dig a bit deeper and take a look at some of the stats on hospitality workers in Leeds and the surrounding areas. We found that 71% of people say they often feel stressed at work, and 68% of people say they are paid below the real living wage for where they live. However, 83% of students report this is a good place to work if you're studying.
All of break rooms ratings are focused on frontline roles. So retail, hospitality, social care, logistics, all of the people who were running the country during the pandemic. And so pay is obviously, unsurprisingly, especially with the rising cost of living, just like the number one factor.
Anna Maybank, ending that report. And finally from us today, Leeds Corn Exchange are welcoming a new sculpture gallery. The venue is one of the first of its kind to be seen in the city and hopes to bring a new lease of life to the arts and culture scene in Leeds. Chloe Gilson reports.
Situated in one of Leeds' most notorious landmarks, known for its independent vendors and creatives, is the Sculpture Gallery, a collective put together by 6 artists with the intention to create a gallery purely dedicated to showcasing sculpture, something rarely seen before.
The idea of having a sculpture gallery with nothing but sculpture is so unusual. We don't know of any independent little sculpture gallery of its sort other than in London. I'm not saying that there isn't any, but we don't know of any that are just pure sculpture.
The gallery aimed to showcase the work of guest artists once a month, as well as rotating their own pieces, allowing the chance for the public to see a wide range of work by different artists every time that they come in.
Well, I'd hope that it will present a bit of diversity. I'd hope that with different artists they bring, not just people who want to come and see their work, but also people who follow their work who want to see different artwork as well. And I think as in a gallery setting, it keeps it quite fresh, doesn't it? One thing we discussed when we were setting up was the idea that we didn't want this to be a shop. I think gallery spaces can be quite intimidating, so the idea was to have it as a space, specialist space for sculpture, that people can just walk in and just enjoy quite a diverse range of different examples of sculpture. And having guest artists in means that there will be a turnaround, there will be different things. All the artists who are showing in here are going to be presenting different work. So yeah, hopefully it'll be quite a nice space a calm space for people to come and have a look around.
Thank you. Goodbye.